Hey, thanks for tuning in. Right now, we're going to take a look at some different things that you can do with a single surface idea. So I like to call this thing the Magnolia Special, and right now we're going to look at one of my favorite go-to variations. Once you've gotten comfortable with this single surface idea, you want to get to a point where you can play it with a good feel, especially something that is in between straight and swing. So I'm going to start off about where I like it, and then I'm going to start moving it to where it's a little bit more in between the cracks, and then a little bit more towards swing. I'm going to start shaking my head. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get it too swing. Then I'm going to come back where I like it, and then I might go over there to where it's too straight, too stiff, and I'll shake my head again. So let's experiment with moving this thing through the spectrum. So you want to be able to control the amount of in between the cracks that you apply to things. And that's why I like you to play this along to the playlist that I made that I'll share in the description, because that'll give you a bunch of different songs that you can play along to. That'll give you different feels that you can develop this with. Once we've got this single surface idea feeling good, we want to take a look at some of the different possibilities of what we can do with it. So there are 5 different bass drum patterns I like to put under this. The way I use this the most is with the mambo bass drum pattern underneath it, and I also solo a lot over the mambo bass drum pattern. So right now we're going to take a look at that. Now we're going to play this over the samba or the bossa nova bass drum pattern. And the reason for doing this is that we want to get to a point where we're comfortable playing anything over this foot pattern so that you can eventually solo over this foot pattern. Another bass drum pattern that I really like to put under this is what I call the Mr. Magic bass drum pattern, because that's coming from a tune by Grover Washington Jr. called Mr. Magic, and that bass drum pattern shows up a lot, and it sounds something like boom, ch boom, boom, ch boom, boom, ch boom, boom, ch boom, boom. So we're gonna put that bass drum pattern underneath this right now. One of the things I've recently started to really enjoy doing is putting variations that are very similar to the Mr. Magic bass drum pattern underneath this. And this works really well on the Professor Longhair tune when you go to New Orleans. Sometimes it's called when you go to the Mardi Gras. This song has a bass line that often is boom, bo-da, boom, check. Bo-da, and then the groove will be boom, tack, tack, da-gong, chicka-ga, boom, tack, tack, boom, chicka-ba. So in order to get that and feel comfortable with it, what I realized was, oh, playing this hand pattern with that Mr. Magic bass drum pattern, that'll get me there. For kicks, I'm gonna get a nice guttural snare drum sound for this. I'm gonna loosen the snares a little bit, and I'm gonna put a big fat snare drum on top of the snare so that we get a nice, thick, kind of throaty, guttural kind of sound that's going to reference a great New Orleans drummer by the name of Big Johnny Thomasy. And I'm going to slow this down just a little bit too to kind of fit this song. So let's see what this sounds like. Now we want to be able to put 4 on the floor underneath this. Traditionally, this is where the bass drum is playing on all 4 quarter notes and the hi-hat is playing on 2 and 4. But since this idea is written out as 16th notes, if you would think of it as written out as 8th notes, then what you would have is quarter notes on the bass drum. But in this case, we're going to look at it as 8th notes on the bass drum with the hi-hat on the upbeats. Notice that I'm playing the bass drum with the heel down. This is so that I can play this very lightly, and we call this feathering the bass drum. And you want to be able to develop this because it comes in very handy when you're playing in nuanced situations, especially when you're swinging out. Now, where things start to get fun is that we can move the right hand around the kit. We can put it over here on the hi-hat, and then maybe we can move to the ride, the bell of the ride, the cowbell, of course, and then eventually we can move it around the toms. Keep in mind that when this is written out as a single surface idea, when the hands play together, it's written as flams. But as you start putting the right hand on the hi-hat, the ride, bell of the ride, the cowbell, or the toms, you want to start playing these things as double stops. So right now, let's put the right hand on the cowbell and play the mambo bass drum pattern with the foot. Next, we'll put the right hand on the hi-hat, the ride, and the bell of the ride. Now for kicks, let's see what will happen if we play a cross stick in the left hand and then play the right hand on the snare with the snares turned off. Now you could also move the right hand around the toms and use this as a fill idea in a more straightforward groove kind of context. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this lesson has shown you how you can get creative with a single surface idea. And if you want to see this written out along with all the different foot patterns that you can put to this, then go to the link in the description and there is a free PDF with all of that written out. So if you made it this far and you enjoyed all of this, please hit the like button. Also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I am coming out with new lessons and new behind the scenes videos. So until next time, see you down the line.